We hope that y'all doing well on this day.
Yes.
It is another day that we're excited about.
Yes.
Everything that's going on, we are grateful. We are thankful. And I am Raymond Sharp. This is my wife,
Tanesha Sharp,
and we're here to jump in. We're to jump in live on today.
Yes, we're jumping in.
Yes, we hope that everyone is well. That's what we want to talk about today.
Yes.
It together.
Getting it together.
Get it together.
Whatever that it is.
Whatever that it is, get
or
it.
It's.
Or the it's.
It's.
It could be more than one it.
More than
it
one.
Could be multiple it's. Get it all together. Yeah.
Yes.
So so we want to talk about this today because you know, just to be completely honest with you, sometimes, you know, I'm a person that I don't like complaining. If you have an issue, we all have the ability to do something about it. You have to make a choice. Why am I complaining? Sometimes our complaints are rooted in other issues. And let's get to the bottom of those issues. Sometimes, you know, some people are tired of being quarantined because they don't have a good relationship with their children and they don't know what to do. Deal with that. Some people are tired of quarantining because they don't want to be around their spouse. Why not? Let's deal with that. Let's really find ourselves getting things together in a way that we will not have these issues and reason to complain. I'm gonna be honest with you. I enjoy coming home, and it's funny because, you know, I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, they have so much time, they're at home a whole lot. I'm not home a lot. I'm not home as much I would like to be, but I'm not complaining about that either. I have clients, I have other things and responsibilities I have to take care of. But on the other side of that, if you do have this time, I really believe you have this time for a reason. Maximize this time. Be with your family, enjoy your family, lift them up, and get over and get through some of these challenges and issues. Don't look for a way out. Look for a way into it to resolve it. And don't just throw up your hands. One of the worst things I think that we do at times is say, well, we're going to agree to disagree. And if you agree to disagree on 90% of your issues, you have a lot of problems.
On 90.
You're 90. Like, you know.
Yeah.
There are certain things that, you know, my wife and I, at one point in time, we didn't see eye to eye on. However, it came to the point where, like, I never tell her we're going to agree to disagree. I said, well, we're going to revisit this later because we need to be in agreement about everything. And some people say, well, that's hard to do. It's challenging at times, but I'm very thankful that we found a way to come into agreement because typically she needs to give us some areas, I need to give us some areas, and we need to find that perfect middle ground. And but you have to be so willing to compromise in life and marriage with your kids and really be in place to understand. But again, let's get it together, folks. Let's not complain. Let's not say, oh, we can't do this. But what can you do? Enjoy life. Enjoy the people that you're around. Enjoy him. So again, let's make the best out of each and every situation.
Yeah, if I can go back real quick, okay, and remind me, it's another thing I want to talk about too. I'm trying to remember. One thing you were talking about as far as us getting through certain things when we have disagreements and stuff like that. When you try to understand the person, that's how, because people are like, well, it's difficult to agree time. But when you begin to understand what the other person's coming from, like giving them the opportunity and the space to how they're processing what's going on and how they perceive everything, then you can figure out where the missing link is or what's missing out of the whole, like what's the disconnect coming from. And sometimes it's just miscommunication, misunderstanding why you guys can't come into agreement or be on the same page, because I know with us, we want to go, we're going in the same direction. We want some of the same things, most of the same things. I mean, you know, we're really moving, and you know, we want the end results is what we're striving for. And so, you know, however we get there, whether he's right or I'm wrong or I'm right and he's wrong, that doesn't matter.
Not one bit.
It's all okay. This is this is the end result, you know. So we got to get it together and focus on the end and not be focused on where we are today. And that was the one thing I wanted to mention. The second thing I wanted to mention is sometimes it's like, okay, so how do we get it together? Okay, there's people that may have got it together in that particular area. So my suggestion is reaching out to somebody, asking, you know, so what are you doing? How what are you doing to become successful in this particular area? Whether anything in business, in anything you can think of, anything that it is, we have to get it together, because once we get it together, everything else and the people around us will benefit from that, because you don't know who you're hurting. You don't know, by you being stuck in your ways and doing what you want to do, how that's affecting somebody else. And we don't think about that. We just think that this is where I am and it's affecting me, so I'm just going to respond in a certain way without thinking about, okay, if I don't get it together, if I choose not to change, if I choose not to, fix this thing, could my children be suffering from it? Am my spouse going to suffer from it? Who hurts because of this? Think about that. Who am I hurting? And if you really care and love your family, you will get it together. Am I hurting my mom? Who am I hurting? Who is this affecting? And we just really, you can go ahead. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I was going to say too, I want to speak real quick specifically to men, okay? And I'm calling out men because, I ask some women, oh, what do you want for Mother's Day? And it always goes back to, I want my kids to be in a place where they're okay. I want my son to be here. I want my daughter to be here. And so, I can speak to men and women as well, but I'm going to specifically speak to men because there's a lot of men that I feel like are out of place. They're causing the women in their life undue stress and strain because of their mindsets, the way they act, and their inability and unwillingness to grow up and mature. So I'm going to put a challenge out there. This is the Mother's Day challenge. The best thing, the best gift that you can give your mother or the woman in your life, the mother of your children, is to get yourself together. Don't have them crying over you for a reason outside of you doing something good for them. Don't have them out here worrying about you, what you're doing and who you're with and are you okay? Are you in the streets? We got to really say, hey, I need help. Take the help. Take the way out in a position where you can be more of a peace instead of a burden to your family. So I'm going to encourage all the men, if you want to look for the gift, roses are good. Cards are great, but you being in a good place, not just for one day, but making the decisions in your life to bring forth tangible change in your life is the best gift that you can give your mother. I asked my mom even. I said, Mom, what you want for Mother's Day? And she gave me this long answer. I said, Mom, what? And it was all stuff I could not give her.
Give her.
And Tanesha, you was right there.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, what can I buy you?
Yeah, that's true.
And she was like, well, I just, and so we make sure that as men that, I think a lot of women are suffering because of their men, not even the men that they're in relationships with, but because of their children. So if you're your mom, regardless of what happened when you was growing up, you're an adult now, you can make better decisions, you can choose to do differently. Don't put blame and the decision you made on what somebody else didn't do. Okay, get it together. What can you do now to make things better? And I'm not being unsympathetic. In my past, I could have made a lot of excuses for a lot of different things and said, well, I'm doing this because this is what I saw. I'm doing this because this is what was done to me. And considering the best gift you can give your mothers, your wives, your girlfriends, men, let's be the best men that we can be. Not just for a day, but every day. Let's strive to continue to get better, to improve, and really not make any excuses for what we are, how we present ourselves or why we can't advance. Let's get rid of all of our excuses to make sure that we're solid men that our sons and our nephews and other people can look up to, because there's so many people looking for an example right now, and it's difficult, sadly, for them to find someone they can say, hey, you know what, I want to be like him. There's too many people say I'm gonna do everything I can to not be like that person, but without understanding of even the real issues and struggles, they ended up being the person they tried so hard not to be. So let's definitely strive to improve ourselves in that particular area of our life as much as possible. And I really, again, in getting things together, we have to get things in order that we, sometimes we don't want to deal with. And we have to stop looking outwardly and start looking inwardly and say, okay, how can I change my circumstances versus waiting for someone to give you a handout to change things for you. And even in these times, again, don't wait for someone to make things enjoyable for you. What can you do to make these times enjoyable for yourselves, even with being with family? And again, I enjoy spending time with my family, but at the same time, I'm not able to spend as much time as I would like for my family because of the nature of what I do. But every moment that I do have with them is valuable, and I really, really enjoy it, especially with my wife. And another thing I was just thinking about too, as far as getting things together, is that yesterday, y'all may not know, yesterday marked the 15th year. I met my wife year to date 15 years ago. Okay. And at the end of this month, May 2nd, and the end of this month, we'll be married for 13 years.
And teenagers.
Yeah. So there were some things, and even in meeting you, that I had to, I had to get some stuff together.
I did too.
Yeah, we did. We both did. But we both made a choice that once we realized, I think her realization came, I knew I wanted to be with her, but I didn't tell her because I had a lot of things that I had to get together in my life.
Yeah.
I had a lot of things to work through. I had a lot of things to overcome. And because of the things I had to overcome, I didn't want her to be a part of it. So that's why I kind of kept her distance away from me. Now, the mistake I made was not communicating that with her. I just said, not now. I just said, I'm like you. However, I'm not ready to get into a committed relationship without an explanation. And she was like, why? I'm like, I just don't. And because of my lack of communication, it caused some confusion for her. So ladies, I want to tell you this. If a man, sometimes it's not that a man doesn't want to be with you. A man knows some of the mess that he's in, some of the mess he got to clean up and get out of. Give him that time and space to get it together. Don't be so stuck on, well, he doesn't want to be with me. Get over yourself. A lot of times it has nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with her and everything to do with me. And if you move things along too fast, you ended up a lot of chaos. You're like, man, what in the world happened? You didn't let this man who was telling you, give me some time. You didn't want to give him time. You said, well, I can help you work things out. And there's certain things that a woman cannot help a man with. This man needs to do this by the things I had to overcome. There's nothing that she could have done. I can
support him, but I needed to do that from a distance.
Yeah, but don't say, well, we can work it out. Don't worry about it. Don't consider yourself being lonely to the point that you're willing to actually suffer to get to the better side. And like I told her, I needed some time. And I think ultimately you're glad I took that time, right?
Yeah. And it slows down the process when you're together and you're trying to fix him or you're trying to make him and help him. I mean, some things you just cannot. There are things that I definitely couldn't change, things that that hurt, the stuff that your past, certain things that made you who you are, or things that you're trying to overcome today. There's no way. We actually separated for a little while, and that was the best thing. I'm grateful now. It was hurtful back then because I didn't understand. All I wanted was what I wanted, and I wanted. I felt like since he said he needed time, he just wanted to do, be with somebody else, or just he wanted the freedom to be whoever he wanted to be. But I had to really understand all that he's been through, and I've never been through the stuff that he's been through. I didn't fully understand what all that meant and what all he needed to begin to move forward with a new relationship with somebody else. So I didn't understand that. So we have to really learn to be understanding, because I could have really missed out if I continued to not understand.
And we broke up twice.
Yeah,
we broke things off twice while we was dating.
He just really needed time.
I needed time, and
it was just when we met. It was great when we met.
Yeah,
but it just like, okay, just because we met, that does not mean it has to. We still came with issues. I came with issues that I needed to work out, and the time apart was really, really good for us. I think it moved things further along, like quicker than I think if we would have stayed together.
Now,
I would have.
Yeah, I would say this too.
I would have messed things up
with time apart. Our time apart was not focused on getting each other back.
No, it wasn't.
It was not at all. It was focused on I need to get myself together. I need to improve myself. I need to take myself to the next level, regardless if I'm with her or not. I have to get things better. And I think sometimes people are doing things for the other person and not for themselves. And I found that many times if you do things only for other people, the changes, the improvements, they don't last. They become stale, they become stagnant, and you begin to resent that person because you're like, man, I did all this for you,
and you're not appreciative of it.
And some people,
response is like,
some people get lost in what they're doing for other people and don't realize that, what do I want? What's best for me? And we have to make sure that we're doing things in a way that we can grow and develop and become better people, separate from what we're doing. Even in our jobs, we can't just say, well, I'm going to get this degree so I can progress at work, and only for the purpose of making more money. You can always do something else to make more money. So make sure it's something that if I did not have this job, would I still want to be proficient in this particular area? So don't just do it for one thing or to impress a boss or supervisor. Do it because you know what? This is where I am. This is where I'm going. This is going to improve me. And again, at work, this goes even for people in real estate. I talked to someone they called me, asked me my opinion about something. I'm not gonna get into the details of it, but I was like, you need to stay where you are and keep doing exactly what you're doing. They said,
exactly
why?
What you're doing,
yeah. And I ran it down to them. They were like, man, I'm so glad I talked to you. I was about to mess up. And I wasn't talking down. I wasn't trying to stunt progress, but where they are is great. What they're doing in real estate is great. But if they went to a whole different area, all the things they were saying, well, I don't like doing this, I don't like doing that, you're going to have to do that 20 times more in this other side of real estate. And they didn't know. They didn't realize it. So make sure that you are enjoying where you are, mastering where you are, and really exercising your gifts, your talents, and your resources, even within everything you're doing with your children. Again, get over yourself, improve, but what can you do for your kids right now? My son, we had 2 kids that had birthdays in these quarantine times, and I think those have been some of the best birthdays they ever had. And you know, I don't want my kids leaving the house right now, but we did everything we could to make these the best birthdays, and we'll still have, you know, my wife's birthday's next week. This week, but on Wednesday, and my daughter's birthday at the end of this month, and I don't think things are going to lift before then, but we're going to make sure those are the absolute best. And I'm not saying, well, we can't do nothing, because you know we can't go nowhere, or you're not supposed to go nowhere. Everywhere you like is not open. But what can I do? Get it together and figure out, what can I do? I'm gonna do everything I can to make this the best in these current times and situations. Don't feel so restricted. We're not restricted. Your mind is not restricted, so don't allow it to be. And don't make excuses for why you can't. Why can you? And pursue that.
So we're going to say, get it together.
Yes.
Like I said, like we said in the other video, whatever that it is, get it together.
And
become the best you.
Even if it's multiple it's.
Yes, even if it's multiple it's.
Get it
all
together.
Together. And that's part of jumping in. I mean, you know, we jump into all types of things in life. And that's a part of jumping in, is going through the process of not only getting success and doing well in certain things, but, you know, growing into and being the person that you're supposed to become. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think, you know, this is a good